Let's now take a look at operations and methods. So far we have understood what are classes and objects and how these are represented using class diagrams and object diagrams. To both class diagrams and object diagrams, we have added attributes and then we have created objects using the class template and added meaningful values to these attributes. All objects will have the same attribute names but will have individual attribute values which will differentiate them from each other. Let's further add a few operations within the class diagram. An operation is a function or a procedure that may be applied to or by objects in a class. Suppose you have a class company, then hire, fire, pay salary would be some operations or tasks performed by the company class. Suppose you have a class person, walk, talk, eat, rest could be some operations performed by the class objects person. All objects created for a particular class template will share all these operations, just like all the objects created for the class shared all the attributes or had the same attribute names but varying attribute values. Similarly, when you list operations within your class template, these operations will be implemented by all objects that are created using the class template. The UML notation is to list these operations in the third compartment of the class box. Our convention is to list the operation name in regular face, left align the operation name in the third compartment of the class box, use a lowercase letter for the first letter. Optional details such as argument list and result type may follow each operation name. Parentheses enclose an argument list, comma separate these arguments. A colon precedes the result type, and if an argument list is empty, then there are no arguments. We do not list operations for objects because they do not vary among the objects of the same class. Suppose you have listed operations like walk and talk for a person class. Every object created for the person class should be able to perform the operation walk and talk. There is no much distinction there, as with the case with attributes where every person could have different values for these attributes. But when it is the objects of the same class, the operations are same, so you do not have to explicitly list them in the object diagram. Let's take a look. There are 3 class diagrams here. I have not created object diagrams because you do not have to list operations in the object diagrams. Let's start with the class person. In the first compartment, you write the class name, that is person. Make a note of the styling, boldface, center of the box. In the second compartment, you have attributes. We have listed just 2 attributes or properties for every object that will be created using the person class template. Let me remind you that you could have an exhaustive list of attributes, but for simplicity, I have named just 2, that is name and birth date. You can see now I have created a third compartment for this class diagram, and this indicates the operations. A person can change job or change addresses. Again, you can list many more operations the person can perform, but I have listed just 2. Let's take an example of another class, file. The name of the class is listed in the first compartment of the class box. A file has 3 attributes according to this design, that is the name of the file, the size of the file in bytes, and when was the last update performed on this file. So these are the attributes of the file class. And then you have an operation print which allows you to print the file. Note the difference between attributes and methods. Attributes are properties of a file. Methods are operations or tasks you can perform on objects created for the file. So you can print a file, so that is an operation. Let's take a look at another class diagram, that is geometric object. The geometric object is the name of the class, which can have two attributes: the color of the object, the position or the coordinates of the object, and I have defined three operations for every geometric object. You can move the object on your screen. Okay, so move is an operation. So in these two cases, our operations did not take any arguments. Here, the move operation takes one argument, delta. Delta could be a vector or indicating the distance you want to move the object. So delta is the name of the argument. Put a colon and write the type. The type is a vector. Let me go to defining the second operation for the geometric object class, select. Select is an operation that takes one parameter, which is P, and the type of the parameter is a point, what you want to select. The return value of this operation is Boolean, that is true or false. Let me take another operation, rotate. So when you want to rotate an object, the parameter or the argument the rotate operation takes is in angle, and the type of this argument is float. The default is 0.0. So let me give you a little more detailing on this. So here in the first operation just takes an argument delta of type vector. So when you have only argument list, which is optional, if you see here, these operations do not have argument lists at all. That's why you don't have the parentheses. Here you have arguments, that is why you provide the parentheses. Here the move operation takes just one argument delta. So when you specify arguments, just put a colon and also specify their data type. So delta is of type vector. Along with having arguments, you can also include a return type, that is, what type of result does this operation return. So if you look at the second operation, you will get a little more clarity. The second operation, select, has an argument list, one argument of type point, and when you have this, when you close this argument list and then when you put a colon and write Boolean, this is the return type of the result. Understand that I have not specified a return type here. Let me go to the third operation. Here this operation takes just one argument, in angle. Is the data type of in angle is float, that is, it takes an angle of rotation. There is no return type specified, but I have specified a default value at 0.0. So what are default values? When we create objects, every object will be able to invoke this rotate function. Now to the rotate function, when I create an object, if I do not give a specific value for this in angle argument, then by default the object is going to be initialized with 0.0 as the in angle value for rotation. That is, you won't be rotating the object at all. So default values are a way for you to avoid errors being thrown or exception being thrown at runtime, just in case the user forgot to give you the right input parameter or forgot to give any input at all. So do not worry about the implementation details. Only make a note that when you define operations in the third compartment for a class, you can have operations without argument lists at all. In that case, do not specify the parenthesis. You can have operations with arguments, one or more arguments. In that case, you have a comma separated argument list. Here, since there are only one argument, there is no comma separated values. If you have more than this, just put a comma and keep writing in the same format. That is, the name of the argument, colon, and the type, the data type of the argument. You can also specify the return type of the entire function. Along with the arguments, you could also specify a default value, just in case the customer or the programmer or the user did not give you a value when creating objects and executing the code. So when you invoke the same operations, they may apply to different classes. So far we were talking about all different objects of the same class. but you may define certain operations which can be applicable to multiple classes. Such an operation is called as polymorphic. That is, the same operation can take on different forms in different classes. A method is the implementation of an operation for one particular class. If we take a look at this file class now, the operation here print. Okay, so file class may have an operation print. Now, the same print may be used by different classes other than file, which come under this as a hierarchy. So you could implement different methods to print, say, ASCII files, binary files, print digital files, and so on. So all these methods logically perform the same task, that is printing of a file. But when it comes to implementation, printing a binary file may have a slightly different code than printing an ASCII file or a digital picture. So that is what you have to take care of. I think we have touched upon polymorphism in our introduction video. Let's talk about operations having arguments. So an operation may have arguments, and such arguments become placeholders for values. So that is what we have seen here. An operation may have an argument list that allows you to pass values when you create objects for this class. When an operation has methods on several classes, that is, when you're using a polymorphic operation, it is important that all methods have the same signature. Signature means the number, the type of arguments, the number of arguments, the type of each arguments, and the type of the result value. For example, the print method here, or the print operation here, should not have file name as an argument for one method and file pointer as an argument for another method. So print should have the same signature. There should not be a difference in the number of arguments that you are passing to print, irrespective of whether you are using this print function to print a ASCII file, a binary file, or a digital file. Let's summarize what we studied in this series. So in this figure here, we get the summary for notation of all the classes. A box representing a class may have as many as 3 components. The components from top to bottom will contain the class name, the list of attributes, and the list of operation. Optional details such as types and default values can be included with attributes. Optional details such as argument list and result type may follow the operation name. Also, if you take a look at one specific detail here, it shows that each attribute here, this one, I've just taken this one attribute and placed it here to show you that every argument may have a direction, a name, a type, and a default value. So attribute can have a direction, a name, a type, and a default value. So these things are already covered here. So what is direction? Direction indicates whether an argument is an input. In case it is an input, I can write IN in place of direction. If it is an output, then I can write OUT or out. Or if it's a combined variable or a modified variable which can serve as both input and output, then I can write in-out, INOU out in place of direction. So the attribute and operation compartments of class boxes are totally optional, and you may or may not show them. A missing attribute component, suppose this entire compartment of attributes is missing, it means that the attributes are not specified. Similarly, if an entire operation compartment is missing, that means that the operations are not specified. In contrast, if I leave this compartment empty, it means that attributes and operations are specified and that there are none. So there is a difference. Either you can skip the entire box. In case I skip the attribute box, then my class diagram, the class diagram will have just the class name and the operations box as the second compartment. or I could totally skip this operation box in that case my class diagram will have just a class name and an attribute name. But if I leave the boxes empty, that means that they are specified and not existing. So this is about object and class concepts.